I'd never had anybody direct me like she had. She just stood behind me and was like, that person, that person, that person.
Wow.
And so I was constantly like, and I was on edge, just freaking out all the time.
Yeah.
And just you have somebody over your shoulder telling you who to take pictures of.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Well, of course, here comes my initial trip to photograph Anna Wintour. She walks in the door and my editor runs right up to me with lightning speed and goes, "You just missed Anna Wintour. Go get her picture." There she goes. And I'm like, "Oh, Anna Wintour." So I have my platforms on. I'm running after Anna, flat on my face. "Miss Wintour," boom, right on my face. And at least I got her to stop.
Did she actually stop and turn around, or was she like, "I'm not even turning around"?
So much of a commotion. The poor woman would have to stop and turn around. And she was expressionless, completely like the Anna Wintour, the stony gaze expressionless. She just, just kind of the, what is that mess on the floor? Pick it up and take it away.
Have you ever met anyone that instantly makes you happy? Like their mere presence makes you feel lighter and reminds you of all that's good in the world? Well, this is exactly how I feel about my next guest, photographer Katy Winn. In the early Fashion Week days at Bryant Park, Katy was one of the few women running around the tents from show to show, deep in the pit with the other photographers, mostly male. In her fabulous rock star meets runway ensembles, often paired with platform shoes, a bold lip, and fantastic hair. But Katy always got the shots. I mean, I was consistently amazed by watching her click maybe one or two times with her camera and then effortlessly capture the authentic essence and beauty of all of her subjects. She's magical. Katy is truly one of the best in the industry, and it was such a delight to connect with her, to reflect on her career as a photographer, and to revisit some of her favorite fashion moments. Katy Winn, I am so excited to have you on the show. You guys, Katy is one of the most fabulous photographers. I'm not going to even say Fashion Week photographer because she does photography for she has a lot of different subjects. So you're just so talented. And she was one of the few women in the pit at Fashion Week. And if you don't know what that is, it's okay. We're going to get into it. So welcome, Katy Winn. How are you?
Oh, Kirsten, hello. It's so good to see you. I'm fine. I'm actually great because I'm on the show with you right now.
Oh, stop it. Look, and I mean, look at that fabulous smile. Look at that fabulous skin. What's your routine? Because your skin is on point.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh. Love you for saying that.
You don't age, Katy. You look the same.
Well, you just made my day. The million brownie points for you, Missy. No, I just, my gosh, lately I've been doing so much traveling that my skincare routine has fallen to pieces. So it's whatever I can do. Lots of vitamin C and a gazillion supplements.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so funny. Who is your friend? Was it Judith?
Yes.
I still have that picture of me, you, and Judith at Fashion Week. I think we were doing a whole animal print situation. I had my little Dolce & Gabbana skirt and Judith had on her zebra print look. It was everything. And I remember you guys put me on to skincare. You're like, oh my God. I think it was it starts with the C. What's it's like Claudel or
Oh, was it the Caudalie one?
Yes, yes. Oh, you guys put me on, and I was like, "What is this?" Tap, 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 tap. Amazing. morning.
Well, you've got beautiful skin. Whatever you're doing now, I need to take some lessons.
It's called stress. Stress and sweat. I've just been like on the trail trying to run it off, every morning.
You know what? I really think that's the key now. I think it's on the trail, go for a run, get a good sweat on, whatever it is you like to do, just do it with all passion, and it puts the glow in your face.
True. Sweat does wonders, y'all. And a little humidity, which we have here in Maryland.
Yes. Oh, I'm missing that. I'm out in the desert right now.
I'm jealous. Dry heat is like so perfect for the hair. Like,
that's one thing. I've never had better hair than I do here, but then I have to load on the Caudalie and all the other extra stuff that goes along with it.
I love it. Well, it is such an honor to have you here. I am such a fan of all of your work and just you as a human being. So thank you. And I love to just start from the beginning. Like, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? And how in the world did you become a photographer?
Well, Kirsten, first, I'm honored to be on your show amongst so many fashion icons.
You're a fashion icon, Katy. You are one of the very few women out there doing entertainment events, red carpets, fashion week. I mean, you were all over. So I can't wait to delve into all of that, but we're gonna take it back. We're going to take it back. Little Katy. Yes.
Little Katy. Little Katy couldn't get her nose out of fashion magazines. I grew up with a mother who was a flight attendant. And when she was a flight attendant, now this is probably going to age me quite a bit, but my mother was in the age of, the rock stars and the supermodels that were on the planes. And she worked for TWA. So of course, a lot of your listeners probably don't even know what TWA was, but it was a pretty big airline that went internationally. And my mother it was international, and she worked in first class, and Valentino designed their uniforms.
I forgot about that. Oh my goodness.
Well, my gosh, you were probably just, not even a thought in your parents' timeline.
I
know. And admittedly, when I was born, this was after those times, but my mother, of course, kept every single one of her uniforms, and she had them in triplicate because she used to fly so much. And
I love that.
So yeah. So and of course my grandmother was a pack rat and loved everything about what my mother did. So she had all the memorabilia from TWA, like all the outfits, and they had these paper outfits. Sometimes they had these like special trips to Hawaii or whatever. And
cute.
It was so cool. And I guess this was probably like early 70s or 60s that my mother, and like I said, this is beyond my memory, but I got to wear the paper outfits and uniforms when I was a kid. So, it's kind of like dress up and have fun in mom's clothes. But
oh my God, Katy. Oh my God. Do you still have access to her?
I have a few of them. I have one paper outfit left. It's all this like gold lame. It's super freaking cool. And I don't have it here. I wish I had it here to show it to you, but it was, I don't even remember if it was like to Spain or something, but it was a gold lame looking thing with ruffles, big ruffles around the neck. And that was a Valentino design.
I love it.
The sad part is, as a kid, you don't realize, you just go, ooh, pretty.
Right.
And then the grape juice just rolls down in this paper. So it's good. So, I destroyed a lot of my mom's things, but I have her beanie. Like she had a little beanie that he made. And then they had these orange trench coaty things that were really pretty, they were like cute trench coats and mini dresses and the whole 9 yards. So cute. They were just, and of course, so growing up in that and wearing these clothes and thinking like, this is the norm. Like this is what everybody wears, This is what I'm going to wear when
you guys, this is so true because this has clearly like lived on with you because you were so, Katy and her Fashion Week outfits. We're gonna get there, but Katy does not play when she's on location. So we'll get back to that. So your mom was, I'm sure, an influence on. Did she bring back any magazines for you, like the European ones, like from all over the world?
Always. She did a lot of trips to Italy. So she'd come back with a lot of Italian fashion magazines. And of course, at that time, Gucci, he used to just parade in the flight attendants and just parade them into his showroom and, give them things, just goodies, like little drink. Yeah. And I have some, darn it, I wish I thought it's in one of my closets somewhere here, but I have a whole bunch of Gucci goodies that he gave my mother, from like leather wallets to shoes to, actual shirts and things that were so timeless that even now they look pretty darn cool when you put them, when you pair them up with something from now, like a, white button down shirt with a pair of jeans. This shirt was gorgeous. Wow. But so growing up and all of that, my mother just brought, and then of course, she'd bring home goodies for me. And I'd countless cool things that she'd bring back from international flights and from designers and stuff. So I had little designer dresses and stuff, but then, we lived in a small town. We lived in a small town in Connecticut that is far away from the border of New York. So, not that far relatively, because we know Connecticut's not that big, but, but to me as a kid, New York was far away. Yeah. And, and I would sit and watch TV and I'd see rock stars and stuff as I was getting into my teens. And I loved the fashion and, and that got me, and I had always been, since I was 8, I'd been shooting. I always my parents had friends that, wanted to give me a hobby, and they had been photographers and they were in law enforcement. And so they gave me a Pentax K1000 when I was 7 or 8. And it's pretty cool. It was like, oh, this is fun. Yeah.
Did you get a tutorial? Like, was there a tutorial involved?
They used to, that is the crazy part, is they used to take me on shoots while they were working. But
that's amazing.
Girl. So, we looked like a little family, but they, of course they were so laid back. They were, they taught me how to shoot through all of it. And so I learned from law enforcement. That was my basis in photography. And then my first job was, I crashed some poor family's wedding on the beach.
Wedding Crashers. Love it. One of my favorite movies.
Oh, see, I'm the OG. I was like maybe 10. Oh
my goodness.
You see this little 10-year-old with a Pentax K1000 clicking away. And I just loved it. I was crazy for this woman's, the bride's dress was like, to me, everything was always, I always was into dress up, always loved pretty. And, whether it was like grungy rock stars or, 'cause everything was just put together. So with such genius. So me. And you got to take a picture. I want a souvenir. I want to take a picture of this. So I took a million pictures of this wedding. My poor parents had to pay for me to get everything developed. But then when they saw the pictures, they were like, these are
really good.
Yeah. And so somehow we were able to track down the wedding party, and the bride fell in love with the pictures, bought them all, of course, probably too the novelty that this little 10-year-old crashed your wedding.
Wow.
But she got them all. And so I started my career as a photographer. So I did a lot of weddings and political events when I was a kid and going into my teens. Got into high school, flunked photography class completely.
Stop. You were like, I'm over this. I know this stuff. I'm like beyond.
Exactly. It was just so boring to me. And I'd rather go to my own dark room and do
your thing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And so, and of course at that time too, you're 15, 16 years, all I could think of is, I'm moving to New York. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to be fashion or rock stars. There's, something like that. I'm going to move to New York the minute I can. And of course, that didn't happen until after college. And as soon as I graduated college, I went straight. I'm sure I share this with a lot of the people you interview is you've got this in boiling up in your gut for your entire life. You just want to move to a big city and be a part of great action. And you want to be in with all these people from different places and just suck it all in. And so I moved to New York right out of college. And I had
where'd you go to college? What'd you study?
Oh my gosh, I went all over the place.
She's gonna be like Yale. you would, Katy. Yale.
I wish. No, it was nothing that glamorous. No, I went to college.
You're like, I was all over, like the credits. We added up all the credits. It worked out.
That's exactly what we did. We had to add them all up, make sure
that all the syllabi in. Did you study something creative, or did you sort of like take from different like interests of yours and sort of weave something together, or like what was that process like for you? Oh my gosh,
I'm a total born Gemini, probably 4 times over.
I'm one too, right?
I knew it.
May 23rd. Whoop, whoop.
What?
Yes.
May 29th.
Yes. I mean, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Now it all comes together.
Abby, should have known.
I should have known. That's why I admire you so much.
Oh my goodness, I cannot with you. But like
genius, she's May 23rd.
Well, Geminis, we're like, we can learn from anything. Literally.
It's true. We can go all over I think that's one thing with my life, and probably with yours too, is you want to get as much in, and you've got such a hunger for everything. Like, and you experience it once, you want to, you just
learning. It's like learning, learning. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think I'm at my worst when I'm not learning something, when I'm not experiencing something, or, looking for new things to draw from and to decorate my life with. And it's, I can't. That's always been my downfall too, is that sticking, the one thing I could stick with was photography. That's the one constant in my life that I've been, I can put it down for a month or two, say I really need a break, but then, then I start to itch and I need to get my kids out.
That's exactly how I am with fashion. Like, I've tried to divorce fashion. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm tired of this life. Like, I'm going to do something completely different. And then it's like, all the way in DC, here I am, like, covering fashion and politics and like just sliding back in. But it's because it's where I feel the most alive. And, people like you, my fashion family, that's what I call it, the fashion family.
It's true.
It's just, I feel at home because it's what connects us, that passion. Like, seeing that person, on the street, like I literally, let me tell you something, Katy. I attempted my little SLR, and we'll get into this. My little SLR Canon, I was trying to figure it out. And I would literally, I would get my Bill Cunningham on, and run.
Yes.
I would just run all over DC, Georgetown and DuPont, and just take pictures of beautiful, people who inspired me through their style. Literally. All ages. And I would literally just say, hey, can I take your picture? I'm obsessed with your outfit. They're like, what? Of course. So I feel that passion. God. I feel now were the photos that great? Probably not. A lot of post-production. A lot of post-production work there, but but it's the fashion that binds us. It's that passion for creativity and the eye, and just being inspired.
Yes. And the excitement that you get, the energy from other people in this world. That's one thing we all seem to share. Those of us that are kind of lifers in that whole fashion industry, is when we get inspired, it's totally obvious. The whole
so
world
obvious.
knows.
It's true. When I was at Lord and Taylor in the fashion office, my fashion director at the time, like I think it was Proenza or something, like one of those shows. There was a shoe that went down the runway and we literally screamed and all of the finance people were like, what's going on? They're just like, okay, like you guys are clearly, it's like, did you see that shoe? Oh my God. Literally, like top level finance people, like, what is going on over here?
What are you people doing? It's a language that you have to learn.
Yeah.
And I know for me, when I came into fashion, all right. So I'll back up a little bit, but when I moved to the city, because I have to share this one, because this is just crazy. We were talking earlier about your fashion hero, the woman that just, that brought you into the whole world because you saw her, you were watching her shows, Lauren Ozersky. You give me goosebumps when you said that, because when I moved to New York, I originally graduated college, and yes, it was a mishmash of everything. Like I majored in theater and I majored in journalism because they didn't have photography. I was out of, I thought. So and I thought I was going to go into, I was going to be Katie Couric. Move over, Katie. Well,
a super fun one.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm coming in. Today's show, but no, that didn't really happen.
Wow.
Clearly. But I got to New York and I had I wanted to live in the East Village because at that time we were, kind of at the end of CBGBs, but there was still a punk rock movement and there were all these punk rock photographers there. And I wanted to go see Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop was my guy. Like that was my, where I'm just ridiculous. I've met him a few times and I can only get maybe 2 words out of my mouth. And
stop it.
One day, hopefully I'll get to meet him and actually have a full sentence come out of my mouth. Poor guy probably thinks there's a real problem up here, and there probably is. But anyway, so I moved to New York. I get a job. Got to pay the rent. So I got a job as a bartender, and I was working in a really trendy bar, and I loved it. But Lauren Ozersky, she was the first, like, that's when I realized, oh, wait a minute. There are people outside of the rock and roll thing in the East Village that have some really interesting zip to them. And Lauren Ozersky was the one. She was behind the velvet ropes. She was on the cover of Paper Magazine, I believe. I remember reading an article about her in Paper Magazine after watching Behind the Velvet Ropes. I was just,
oh my God, obsessed.
And she was amazing too. She still is. She's even more amazing now, but she was so amazing to somebody, a newcomer to the city. When I saw her, she was just, she was like Sex in the City 5 times over. She was
absolutely.
She was just an it girl. She was so fascinating and she just knew everybody. And she had so many good questions for all these people in the fashion industry. And she just, she could wear anything from Pat to, I don't know, Oscar de la Renta. She could
seriously.
It was amazing. So I really wanted to infiltrate that crowd. And it wasn't for maybe, I kind of started taking out my cameras, taking pictures. I was gunning for a job over at NBC that wasn't working out so hot. And I crashed the Grammys, and totally crashed it with my camera.
You stay crashing, Katie. I mean, why not? Just slip right in. Slip in where you can.
Yeah, I think that's the mentality. And I think that's a mentality that most of us had in Fashion Week is, you kind of the fake it till you make it mentality. Where there were so many crashers, like when Bryant Park opened. You didn't know who belonged there and who didn't, but if you looked like you belonged there, you belonged there, and that was it.
Just stand there, just just wait. Just wait. And usually the PR people are like, you know what, fine. Like, we need to fill in some seats. Come on in.
Just come on in. Exactly. From your perspective, so that's what happened. You're like, we need to fill a few seats. And then, you know, I, as a photographer, because I worked in the front of the house so much too, that I would see these people and I didn't, you know, at first I didn't know one from the other. And I just go, wow, you look really crazy good. You know? It could have been, you know, my neighbor. I
love it.
He was trying to find a way in too. And, you know, and I take their picture and then of course they've gained some credibility by being on the Getty website.
Yeah.
And so, but, yeah, so that's how I basically, I broke into, the Grammys, and that's how I broke into
So you do the Grammys. What, like at that time, how did you actually start shooting at the tents?
Okay. So that was I was still a very young, inexperienced in that world photographer. And so many of us were at Getty. I'd taken pictures at the Grammys, sold a few to the Post, and then broke my way into the syndication aspect, which was Corbis. I worked at Corbis, and somebody kind of headhunted me from Corbis at the time. And that was at Getty. And so I went and had an interview, and she will remain nameless. And I love her to this day. I adore this woman, but she hadn't even looked at my portfolio, or probably she had online and I didn't know at the time. But I walked in, she looked at me, my name, and she said, Catherine Winn. I like the sound of that. Okay, do you want a job?
And you're like, sure.
Sure. Okay. And so,
wow.
So yeah. And within 2 months, I was teamed up with a bunch of photographers from New York and LA. It was our maiden voyage with IMG and Fashion Week.
Wow.
First season that they had at Bryant Park. And wow. I mean, it was just, when I think back on those first couple of seasons, it was just, my eyes were wide open. I couldn't take enough pictures. And it was the same for most of the other people in our gang. And some people fell away. It was a really rough job. And I know you would know, Kirsten, because you were on that side, you were on the whole production end of things, and you don't sleep.
No.
Yeah, but it's
so much fun. It's like, let's just sleep in the trailer, in the production trailer.
Oh my gosh, we could take little naps in the back.
Yeah.
And I do have pictures of people like passed out sleeping, and there's a locker room at the time. They're sleeping on top of the lockers.
That's hilarious. I cannot.
And yeah, you just didn't sleep. You had to love the job. And I think you probably still do. Yeah,
absolutely.
That time it was a smaller group of us all, and you just had to love it because you weren't going to sleep. Lord knows what you were going to be eating that week. If I'm sure we're all.
Oh, I know. Wait, what was that? What was that little? God, what was it called? Yeah, the little booth with all the super fancy sandwiches.
I cannot. That one, yes,
right.
That's the sandwiches. Yes,
I can't even remember. We would just eat there every day.
Oh gosh, now you've got me thinking.
I know. I gotta look it up. Jeez Louise. I'm sure one of the listeners will post it.
I know somebody's got a better memory than we do with that.
Right?
That little booth was always filled, and there were some that were just total regulars. They were you wonder where they stored it because everybody's so skinny there.
Right? Oh my goodness! I know.
It was amazing, and for the things that I was thinking about the women's entertainment booth, which was all. Remember the candy? It was all candy. It was.
Yeah, it's just you don't.
No. And then they had the energy drinks. So
oh my God. And the muscle milk. and
then the balls, the BAWLS. So they ply us with caffeine and candy. And then in the evening, they're throwing that fabulous Peroni beer.
Yes, the Peroni. Yes, the Peroni.
God.
Oh my goodness. Gosh, I forget who was on that account, like PJ or something. One of those guys.
Yes.
Good times, you guys. We were on fumes, but it was so much fun. And like, first of all, can we got to talk about the outfits. Like, how did you plan your outfits?
Oh, mine?
I mean, they were so fabulous every time, you guys. Like, I remember when you wore like these platform shoes, and you had your hair and like, two pigtails, and you were just like, you had this red lip on, and you were just ready to go. I was like, Katy, like, I was like, how is she going to get in the pit with this? But you did it. Like, can we explain what the Fashion Week pit is?
Oh my,
our listeners, for those who may not know what this is.
The pit was a stinky, like, all right, it would start out, everybody be fresh and clean. And there were like, oh my gosh, I don't know, Kirsten, you probably know better how many people like in an average pit, but depending on the designer, you could have anywhere from like, I don't know, 60 to 100 and so photographers smashed into a space that was probably about what, like,
gosh,
I don't even know, because that's stuff I don't know. But what, very, very like maybe, I don't know, maybe 18 feet across to 26 feet across.
Maybe,
and risers. So we're all stacked on top of each other where, at first everybody's polite and kind, but then as you move through Fashion Week, and then of course, we're talking, these same photographers are doing after parties. So they're, they're out till 2-3 in the morning, don't have time to take a shower. And I did. I always like,
we know you did.
Had to do the hair.
Katy's like,
I can't now. But oh my gosh, we would be packed literally on top of each other to the point where it's like, I could liken it to, and I don't have a sibling, but when you have siblings in the backseat of the car and you got, Mommy, he's on my side. He's hitting me. Her elbow's on my side. So that's what you got in the pit. And who was Mommy? Kirsten was Mommy.
Christina, like, who else? So many. Mark Horseman.
Yes, Christina. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank goodness for her. She could just walk in her face. She could put on the face that would just part the seat.
That's it. Move out of the way. She is not playing games. Not this week. No.
I don't know if this is even anything, because we are a podcast, but I have a photo of the pit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I of course, here's a picture of Bryant Park before.
Oh my God.
And,
memories.
Oh my gosh, little reminder that yes, when you sat down on the fountain under the tents, you were actually sitting on the ground in Bryant Park.
Wild.
But we have, I don't know if you can.
Wow. Yes. Katy, where are you? Hold on. Let's see. Are you in the,
no, I was taking a picture. So
you're like, no, that's not me.
And they're all looking at me like, I hate you for
the question is, did you save your spot when you were taking that photo? And like, how do you do it?
All right. So there's a picture of a guy in here who was one of my favorite photographers on the Getty team. And he was like the first shooter for all the runway. And his name was Fraser Harrison. And Fraser, I think, was saving me a spot. And he's the only person in this group that's smiling at me. I love the picture because everybody else is giving me maybe one other cute blonde chick's giving me a smile.
At first I saw I was like, wait, I think there's but I was like, that's not Katy's hair though, that she would never wear that hairstyle.
No, but boy, she knows what side of bread is buttered on, whatever the heck they say. But yeah, so Fraser Fraser always saved me my spot. But of course, we're Getty, we're on the same team. So
yeah,
and that was just crazy times. And of course, yeah, getting into the spot like that with my big platforms on, people would really have to move out of the way because they don't want to get stepped on with those people.
Nope. But they were hardcore.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you, the person that dressed me, as I said before, I was East West Village girl, all the way. And I, on my spare time and when I was working, I'd go to, CBGB's, or I'd go over to see these events, Coney Island High or the Continental, and a bunch of other places around St. Mark's Place. And I would photograph the rock stars because that was, rock stars and models.
You are such a rock star. Like, did you ever have a rendezvous with Mick Jagger? Like, I can totally see you.
Darling, I don't kiss and tell.
I know. I can totally see you with like a Mick.
One can only wish, but
I love it.
But I did do a lot of, I was a wannabe hanger-outer over at Fashion Vaudeville, and so I go in there, always kind of shy, and I go in there and I buy
shy.
I'd shy out, like I get all weird and funky, like, cause this was pre-photography, like in pre-fashion week. So I just, like, I want to be around the rock stars, but, stop. But the guy that was the manager, the face of Trash and Vaudeville, Jimmy Webb, used to dress everybody, like all the rock stars. Slash, he from all the guys from Guns N' Roses. I mean, you name it. Iggy Pop. He would go on tour with Iggy Pop, dress Iggy Pop. He just countless names in the industry, and he also would help dress the photo shoots. Like he would bring in style some of the photo shoots for Vogue and for Elle, and all these, and it was kind of like he was like the unsung hero, I believe, of the fashion world. He did so many people in the fashion world and the rock world so many favors, and he kind of fused the two together. And he really was a glue in the world of fashion and rock stars and really great punk rock melody, sort of, bondage pants and platforms and docks and he just knew what was coming back in. He was the one who brought a lot of it back in, or brought it in. And so I don't know, I had nerves, like I had New Yorkers nerves. And I walked in there after my first fashion week, after, assessing the whole world and thinking, I got to step up my look because when I first went to Fashion Week, my first week, I was really not, no. I was a fashion no. And I
can't even imagine. I can't even.
No, you
like even in a white t-shirt, you have like the fabulous hair and you got your bracelets and your rings, and a little.
Oh my gosh. I wish I'd had that much knowledge. I just knew what I liked visually, but I didn't do it for me. It was always, I'm invisible and you're the one I'm taking.
Yeah.
So I don't matter. I can come in with curlers in my hair. It doesn't matter. That's what I thought, and of course, and I'd done a lot of, I was shooting a lot of news before all of this and politics and things. And so, I wore a lot of jeans and shirts. I guess it was a good thing I was wearing a shirt, but and so after that first round of Fashion Week, and then of course, there's the famous story about me falling on my face, going to photograph Anna Wintour, and she wouldn't stop for me.
Stop it.
I knew I had to change the whole thing after that first week. I was
my Lord.
Get invited back for a second one. It was so bad. I didn't know anybody in the fashion world. I knew Lauren Ozersky.
Yeah.
And I knew a few of the, major fashion icons. I knew who Anna Wintour was. I mean, who didn't?
Yeah.
But I didn't know who the main editors were and who was was somebody to photograph and who was not. And so one of my bosses, who's the top boss, came in that first week, and she was so pushy. Like she's trying to keep the account with IMG because we were the official photographers for Fashion Week. And so clearly she was doing her job, but I'd never had anybody direct me like she had. She just stood behind me and was like, that person. Wow. And so I was constantly like, and I was on edge, just freaking out all the time.
Yeah.
And just because you have somebody over your shoulder telling you who to take pictures of.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Well, of course, here comes my initial trip to photograph Anna Wintour. She walks in the door, and my editor runs right up to me with lightning speed and goes, "You just missed Anna Wintour. Go get her picture." There she goes. And I'm like, "Oh, Anna Wintour." So I'm running, and I've got that. At that time, I think I was born in platforms.
I love it. Yes.
I got to have platforms.
Yes.
And so I had my platforms on, but they weren't, I didn't really, anyway, I'm running after Anna, flat on my face. Miss Wintour, boom, right on my face. And at least I got her to stop.
Did she turn around? Did she actually stop and turn around? Or was she like, I'm not even turning around?
So much of a commotion. The poor woman would have to stop and turn around. And she was expressionless, completely like the Anna Wintour, the stony gaze expressionless. I didn't get shot, really. She just, just kind of what is going on? What is that mess on the floor? Pick it up and take it away. So I realized, maybe I need to fix myself up for the next. See if I can get people to stop because I'm one of them. So I know how to go on tangents. Stop me if I do.
No, this is so good. This is so good. I cannot believe it.
Oh, you're just bringing me right back to all the fun. So after that, I had the New Yorker in me, like we all do. Like so many people come to New York and they have I got to be successful at doing this. If I'm not, mom and dad are going to drag me out of here.
It's so common. I don't think that ever goes away. Like when you're in New York, it just never goes away.
Never. Mom and dad could be not even concerned at this point.
Exactly.
Like, they're going to take me away. I gotta do better. And so I just had a really good spiel, and I walked into Trash and Vaudeville, screwed up all my strength. And I was like, "Hi, Jimmy. I'm working at Fashion Week. I'm a photographer, and I'm in the front of the house all the time. And people are always seeing me, including Anna Wintour and and da, 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 da. And would you mind dressing me?"
Stop it right now. I love it.
I think he just admired my attitude that I was, I can't even do it now, but when you have to do something, and I couldn't afford to pay paying my rent was was an issue. So, it was like food or rent. So how was I going to get cool clothes? And I really was just kind of throwing myself at the mercy of Jimmy, hoping that Jimmy would help me. And he just blinked his gorgeous eyes and was like, "Come on, my friend." And he took me to the back room, and he was like, "So how many days are you working?" I'm like, 9.
Yes.
And I'm doing after parties too. And he was like, "Not to worry." And so he got me dressed for that second Fashion Week, and that worked out really well. And every time somebody would interview me about Fashion Week, and they'd ask, "What are you wearing your shoes?" There's the shoes. Yeah. But I'd always say, Jimmy Webb at Trash and Vaudeville. And so over the years, Jimmy would pull things through the season, or he would go to his trade shows and he'd pull things especially for me.
Oh my
And
God.
have some things he had people make especially for me. I have this gorgeous leather skirt that was just,
oh my God.
that's how I got, and this is my Jimmy. This is his back.
Yes. Stop it right now.
But
that back is phenomenal.
He really was, Patrick McDonald, Lauren Azurski.
Yeah.
To Jimmy. And
wow.
he was like the fashion angel. He would just, I'll fix that for you. And he always did. So he's the one who can take he could take all the credit for everything I wore. Everything was Jimmy, basically. And
that's amazing. That's like a godsend, because people don't realize, like, you have to plan every single outfit, like head to toe, like nail color, hair, like what are we doing for beauty? Are we doing a dewy face? Like, what are we doing for evening? Like, which after parties are we going to? Like, is it like super high-end elegance, or are we like getting down to the ground with like, an Alexander Wager situation? Like, it's so stressful. People do not realize. So to have that just sort of like off your plate, and you're just like, here's day one, here's day two, is like,
it was so nice to just line everything up and be like, this is going to be for so-and-so's after party. And I can slide that on. I was already wearing, so I can just do that in the cab.
I love it.
And, it's funny because, so many people, like, I'd go back to my family, like, I don't know what I'm going to wear. And they'd be like, really? You're upset over what you're going to wear. How about, maybe taking a good picture? I can do that.
Yeah, that can happen. Now the outfit, that's a situation. Like, even with this fashion week, I'm like, how many outfits do I have to actually attend? Like, that is going to determine
how many shows you're going to go to.
I'm going to get my outfit capabilities. Like,
oh my gosh.
Like, what are we working with here?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And people I remember Kelly Cutrone, not Kelly Cutrone, I'm sorry, Kelly Ben Simone.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And she would get dressed in the cab. She actually did, like me, I could throw something on over something in the cab, but she would just make it happen. And
oh my goodness. I mean, she would be running in like the middle of New York as well.
Yes.
Like, Kelly did with her Hermes, bag, like just good to go. My
Talk
goodness.
about like how can you be that athletic wearing what you're wearing and then look like you didn't even break a sweat? Like,
amazing,
just, fresh and gorgeous. And
goodness gracious.
But yeah, it's oh my gosh, I miss it so much. I really do.
Bryant Park was just such a magical time.
Oh my gosh,
such a magical time. And things come and go. It's like the new generation comes in and it's a new day. Like what are sort of your thoughts right now and sort of the shifts with fashion? Like, are you like, are there trends where you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, or that's interesting, like from a photography standpoint?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the whole package, actually, I love how it's evolved. And I miss Fern Malice days and Bryant Park and all the craziness, because it was all so fresh to me and new. And, everything was like I was always stressed out and on point throughout the month of fashion. We'll just lay it down as it was. I mean, we had the week in public, right? And then there was the month or two that surrounded, right?
Yes.
But and then of course, Fashion's Night Out. We went through Fashion's Night Out.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that was another experience and fun. That's
wild. That was wild.
Yeah, it was. And it really, I think that the thing with Fashion's Night Out too, is it kind of took away from the after parties for some, because there was one night that was just, nobody's doing anything but going to all of these different events for Fashion's Night Out. Yeah. And so it took away from a night's worth of after parties.
Wow.
But actually that evolution was really interesting and exciting because you get to, you get to see people interacting with their favorite designers, and, and it was a little more structured, and it was, and it was covered by all of the publications in a very interesting way, because it wasn't just so much as a society page, sort of like, oh, look at the Heatherette after party.
Yeah. Or, even though those are good. Those are, whoop, whoop. So always have the best crowd.
The best. Oh my gosh. And their Krispy Kreme donut cake.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that was my downfall. I almost didn't fit into my jeans the next day, or whatever it was. I was wearing my bondage pants the next day.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. But so now, then we moved from Bryant Park over to Lincoln Center, and Lincoln Center was exciting and different because it was new.
Completely new. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that's when the street fashion, like the influencers like really started to take off.
Yes. Like all of a sudden everybody wanted to do what Bill Cunningham had been doing. Oh
my goodness.
And it was so cool.
Rest in peace, Bill. Oh my God. What a soul. He's
one of my favorites.
Did you get it? Like, did you guys have like full, like combos, like photographer to photographer, like, or was he constantly running around? Right.
2 or 3 sentences, and the funny thing is before I was a photographer in New York, he took a picture of me on the street. I love that. I didn't make the book. Obviously, I didn't make the book. Darn it!
But he took your photo. I mean, I had been trying my whole time, and I think he knows. He's like, "Oh no, this person wants to be photographed." I was like in the park. I had these gold BCBG pants on, and I had this, shirt. It was totally not even during Fashion Week, and I was like, gosh. "Oh my God." Bill Cunningham is right there in my mind. And I was like, oh my God, and my outfit's cute. So I try to walk casually across where, he could see me and wait on the corner, to cross the street. And he was just like, no, girl. He just went the other way. And I was like,
did that to me many times.
I did not make the cuts. Dagnabbit. You are blessed. You are blessed.
The day that I wasn't trying on the time when I wasn't in the world.
I was like, oh my God, this is my moment. And he was like, no, girl, I'm going over here.
I saw him day in, day out, every Fashion Week, not once, maybe once, because I was hanging out with Patrick McDonald once, and he was like, oh, that's cute. But it was more of, I think, like a memento of that's cute, but it wasn't like, this is going into my book where I'm sending stuff to the New York Times because that's a hot looking chick in a good dress.
He's like,
but rest in peace, Bill. We do miss you. And there is a hole without him in the fashion community. There are so many great photographers out there now doing street fashion. And of course, and my role at Fashion Week was I did a lot of floating around. I did front of house. I did the runway. I did the back, backstage, which was so exciting. I love that.
I love backstage. It's fun. It's so fun. You feel all the nerves, before, after. You see the fresh faces being done.
You laugh, you cry. I mean, in a 15-minute period, you go from laughter to tears and back to laughter again, because it's so intense back there, and there's so much energy. And that, I believe, is still going on like that. I mean, going back to, all right, so you had Lincoln Park, you had the post office, the big post office on 34th Street.
Oh my goodness,
number one, milk, the blondes, blondes.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
We love you, Emily Bungard.
Oh my gosh.
Emily was on the show. We love her so much. Emily is so awesome. Much. She is doing Fashion Week.
There's my blondes. But
stop it. Oh my God, that's a beautiful shot. Wow.
Well, they never took a bad shot, but Emily, love you.
She's so dope.
Yeah.
She's still going strong.
Yeah. So
I
mean,
love it. You know what? I have to ask this question. I have to ask on behalf of all of the photographers out there, Canon or Nikon?
oh,
We gotta figure this out, Katy. So I know this gets a little crazy, kind of like GIFs and GIFs, versus GIFs, it's like this whole philosophical situation. But for you, which one is it?
I'm kind of sweating as I say this, but I guess I've been on both sides of the fence. I started out a Canon girl, and I used to say, when going into war, bring a Canon. And
I love it.
But I do. I switched over to Nikon in 2011 or somewhere around there.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I just I was approached by somebody at Nikon, and they said, "Well, have you ever shot with our new digital camera?" And this was, I think, I don't know whether it might have been the D3. I think it was the D3. And I said, "No, I haven't. I love my Nikon, my Canon. Oops, sorry, Canon. Love my Canon." And they said, "Well, you know what? Why don't you just walk around with us for a little while?" Well, look, what photographer is not going to walk around?
They sucked you in.
Yes, exactly. And they're like, "Well, what lenses do you have now?" And I was like, "I have this, this, and this." And they're like, "Okay, you can have this, this, and this, and this." And, so they gave me an extra lens and more stuff. And I was like, "Well, okay, I'll walk around with it."
Yeah.
And do a few shots, but I'll see. And what can I say? Within 2 months, I was trading in the Canon gear and keeping the Nikon stuff that they gave me. I am Nikon all the way now. I just absolutely, I love my Nikons. And I introduced the people that came to me to the people over at Getty. And at the time, I don't know what they're doing now, but at the time they became Nikon, and they all agreed. All the all the photographers over at Getty were on board with the Nikon, because at the time, I mean, they just really. I can't speak to Canon now because I'm just stuck with my Nikons. I love them. They're the image quality. I think it's just more what kind of image quality you're looking for. Like Canon at the time, I don't know if it still does, but they leaned more toward the warmer photo. So it's a little, you got warmer skin tones, and sometimes you have to correct for that warmer tone.
Yeah.
Whereas Nikon was a bit on the cooler side. And for me, I kind of tended toward liking the cooler side in my images.
Yeah.
It was a less post-production for me. And
you know what? I kind of have to agree with that, because at work I was using a Nikon, and then, my personal camera was a Canon. And I noticed how much easier, as long as those settings were in order, because if those settings were not in order on the Nikon, forget it.
Some problems.
But if the settings were correct, crisp, clean, I mean, it just didn't, someone could be like, have their arms in the air and it would still come out really, really good. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. I
beautiful.
think the nice thing with the Nikon is once you understood the camera, because they for some reason it's just easier for me to understand the Nikon and get exactly what I want out of it. Whereas with Canon, sometimes it was a little bit like iffy. Like I think I'm getting it right, but it's a little too warm. And with the Nikon, it would just free up for me it would give me the freedom to get creative with my settings and do all kinds of different, trial different types of things, because I knew that the image that I was going to get was essentially going to be a usable image. It just,
it every time.
Super. Yeah. Every time, no fail. So, so I guess I have to say Nikon.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting us know. I know it can get a little tricky. Now I have to ask you one more techie question. Your favorite lens and why?
Oh,
I know they're like all like your children and they do different things, but is there a favorite lens or one that you sort of gravitate towards, like more often than the others?
Oh gosh, absolutely. I mean, it depends on what you're going for. If you're not going to bring a wide angle to a Zoom situation, like, you want to take a picture of the president 5 million miles away, you're definitely not going to get a wide angle to do that. But for Fashion Week, I can tell you, I'm letting go of one of my little things, but no, it's good. I love my 14 to 24. My 14 to 24 for Fashion Week was just, and this was, I should clarify, my 14 to 24 was for like the front of the house, man on the street sort of stuff. And, like atmosphere. And, if I wanted to get creative if I want to get creative, that's my lens. That's my go-to lens to get creative, because I don't know, there's something about the 14 to 24, the image quality on the Nikon 14 to 24 is just superb. And you have very little aberration when you open it all the way up, and when you're at 14 is, you're not looking at a fisheye situation. This photo, the photo that I took of the,
these are folks waiting in front. What is this? Is this Bryant Park?
This is Bryant Park, and they're all, oh, no. Sorry. This is Lincoln Center. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. I think this one might have been, this is one of the killer ones, like it might have been Michael Kors. But So I think that was
trying to get in. I'm on the list. Dammit, I'm on the list.
There's a couple over here that look so bothered by me. I can't get over it. What is she doing? This is Fashion Week. You want to get your picture taken, just act like it a little bit, Wow. But yeah, that's a 14 to 24. And the sharpness and the image quality is just so there with it. And but then, of course, the zoom lenses are fabulous for when you're on the runway. You want to take like your standard runway shot. Go with the 70 to 200. That's going to be fine. You can go with a 300, but I like the 70 to 200 because you have the opportunity to play a little. You can get accessories, and then you can get a full length, and you get a.
I love this so much. Photographers, this is for you, because I only understood like half of that. And here's the thing about Katy. She's so cool. She's like, yeah, but she is like a genius. Like I will include it in the show notes. There's this like, what's in my bag, like part 1 and part 2.
Oh.
And Katy is just like, boop, 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 like knowledge, gem after gem, like technical thing after technical thing. She's going through her bag, which is like insane. It's such a treat. So I will make sure I include that in the show notes, because you'll learn so much.
Make note, though, anybody who's watching this is from years ago. There are a lot of people that go that I kind of stopped checking in to see what other people were saying to, answer them if they had any questions.
Oh, wow.
Because it was starting to hurt, but people who watched the video, like because technology goes so fast in the camera world these days. Digital is just, now we're going into mirrorless cameras, which is so fabulous.
That's wild. Wow.
But, but people look at that and that time period, they go, oh my gosh, this is for noobs. This is, oh my gosh, she's shooting on old equipment. Like, well, yeah. I don't know.
Check the date, people.
Exactly.
I love it. I have to ask very quickly, what is the key to getting the perfect shot? What is the key to getting the perfect shot? Sorry, I had to say that again because my words got a little jumbled there.
Is beautifully put, actually. That's a good question. Sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it's just luck. Other times, I feel when I look back on my images, the whole bunch of them, I had a lot of luck. And that's, I think, what pushed me through the first couple of shows is that I had a lot of luck, and
and the smile and the shoes and the look.
that was
The look and the luck.
Well, I think the look, yeah. Once you get past the the I don't know anybody, I'm a fish out of water, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Once you get to know people and it's your genuine, if you are genuinely excited about being somewhere, and this is any event, whether it's Fashion Week or at a concert or whatever you're shooting, you have to be genuinely excited about it yourself.
Wow.
And if you're not excited about it, you're going to get a crappy picture because you don't. But if your heart, don't put too much of your heart into it, but if your heart is in it and your enthusiasm is there and you're open and easy, I think it got easier for me because I started to love the people that I was photographing as I got to know them. When I met Fernan, I thought, wow, this woman is a powerhouse. She's so exciting and interesting and deadpan funny. And then all the people around her, you, Kirsten, when I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, that $1 million smile.
Oh my goodness. I was like, I'm so serious.
Oh my gosh. That was the thing though with you. I hope your listeners are listening here with Kirsten. She's so, don't let that sweet face fool you. When she needs to go serious, get out of her way.
We're getting serious. Yes. Yes. Emily and I, in our conversation, we were talking about something like, folks making interns making mistakes or something. And just it's like, well, if you don't care, it's like, yeah, you got to give it your all. We just have this whole, and it just kind of comes out of you because you're like, do we not care that we're here, people?
Yes. That's exactly.
We all have it inside. We all have it in there, but it's because we want to do a great job and we care about the people. We care about the event. We care about the product. We care about the designers. It's something that we're all passionate about.
Well, as you said, the fashion family, you become, once you get immersed, you become part of this wonderful family, and it's such a you never leave the club.
I'm like, thanks for taking a chance on me, Christina.
Christina, I
love you so much. Great, she is great. This is a fashion moment, so we always ask our guest, what is one of your favorite fashion moments of all time? It can be something you witnessed, something you experienced, or, it could even be personal. I know there's so many, there's a million, but just a magical experience when you're just like, oh my God.
Oh, the one where you're like, I really love this.
Yes.
Okay. The first one, there's two.
Yay.
I got to do two. But the first one was when it was in my first week, first week ever. And I didn't know what to expect. And I was completely crazy fish out of water. But the last day, I think it was the Carolina Herrera show. And I think we ended with Carolina Herrera.
Oh,
it was
so
my
fabulous.
Amazing. And of course I'd never seen the show.
God.
Oh, clearly I hadn't. And it was so beautiful. And the music was it just went with the flow of the dresses because the dresses were just flowing. I'm going to get all teary again now, but the dresses were just flowing like something it was magic, and photographing it was magical, like nothing I'd ever done before. And I felt like the first moment of being in the zone, the entire week I was a mess, but that one show, I was like, I get it. And when I walked out of the show, I had tears streaming.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't like I was sad that it was over, but I was like, oh my gosh, I get it.
Wow.
I totally get it. And I love this. And this is all I ever want to do.
Wow.
I want to do this forever. I want to stay in this
forever.
And then, you go through life and you do your photography and you're shooting more fashion shows and you kind of lose touch with things because it evolved so much as Fashion Week was evolving. I'd evolved and
Wow.
I changed roles as we moved venues. I was changing roles too, and I was finding there were different things that I was doing, and at Fashion Week as a photographer, and so I was a little bit jaded. And I went it was the Marc Jacobs show, and it was after the hurricane that hit in New York and New Jersey. It was terribly devastating.
Wow.
And I walked into Marc Jacobs, and it was always at the Armory. And of course, I'm bugged out and pissed because
everyone's always like pissed at Marc Jacobs. Like when
it's raining.
Late, like there's something going on. It's like it starts late. Like people are just like grumpy. Like it's the end of the day.
Lastly, I want to see Marc Jacobs, but I don't want to do this. And I'm in the rain, and somebody just got hit by a light or whatever it is. Yeah. It's just something. There's always drama there.
Yeah.
Always. And so it's like getting through that messy mess, mucky messy mess. And I'm really cranky and pissed off. And I go into the venue, and I've kind of heard it from everybody, and I'm enough. And I'm like, I'm not going to buzz around and be all excited right now because I don't feel it. And I'm just going to sit here in the pit. Wow. I was just, I'd had it. It was a week, and it was a lot of work. And it was I just crossed over into like, I was doing my own business. I wasn't I was working with I had my own little crew, and I was, so I was there, and I just, dug in, and, of course there's like, in that pit in particular is the angry pit because
I'm hungry, I'm tired,
and everybody's at the height of stinky. Like,
my God.
And every photographer will tell you that, like, the end of the week, and whoa,
oh my God,
put more cologne on yourself. Oh, I'm gonna, put sticking tissues up your nose, and then the lights come up. Lights go down, the lights come up, and all of a sudden, I felt what I felt at Carolina Herrera.
Wow.
When he had hit his designs in particular that year were just, I mean, they're memorable to me now. If I close my eyes, I can see them. In fact, I have a piece. Wow. I actually spent a year's worth of salary from his family, but they were so beautiful. They're, some velvet purplish, like, jackets with epaulets and really beautiful. He had like long, short, like I can't
like a Bermuda, like a crop. Yeah. Like a crop.
Yeah. And I'm really not doing him any service by trying to describe it.
Wait, what year was this? What year was this?
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to look it up.
Yes, it was, because it was the Fashion Week after the hurricane. So that was what, like 2013, maybe 2014.
Oh my God.
2013,
I am like,
12, I don't know, right in that little area there. And he had, he had, it looked like a blown out, like he had the different levels where the models were walking around the Armory, and they looked like they just come through a, like.
Can you hear me?
Hold on. Somehow.
Okay. We're back.
Okay. Like, of course. Thank you, Mark.
I know. He's like, you better know my collection.
Exactly. I will just end it by saying he was inspired by the hurricane.
Wow.
And it was the most beautiful show. Every single piece, I couldn't stop shooting. I just couldn't. I was taken by the entire experience. It was everything. It was the lighting. It was the models. It was of course, it was the designs. The designs were everything, but just the entire production was so magnificent, so beautiful that it got me crying in the middle of the show, and crying tears of joy. And I get it. I remember again. I love this. I love what I do. I'm so grateful to be here. And like I said, so that was again, getting goosebumps thinking about his designs, but that year was just, to me, that was just magnificent. That was my year, because that was everything I wanted. Everything on the runway was mine.
Well, I just have to say, after chatting with you, I remember why I love to do what I do. It is truly, truly such a pleasure to chat with you. And obviously, you are welcome back anytime, Katy. Okay.
Don't say that,
Even
Kirsten.
if you just pop up and you're like, hey guys, So yeah, I'm working on it. I'm on location. Listen, Katy is one of those people. If you see her pop up on a live or stories or something, I'm just warning you guys now. She is always welcome on a fashion moment, anywhere, anytime. So thank you.
This has been quite an honor for me, Kirsten. I love working with you, and even more, I love a fashion moment. I'm one of your biggest fans and listeners.
Oh, Katy, I can't. I'm gonna end. Oh, let's stop. Thanks so much for joining me for this week of A Fashion Moment. If you like what you hear, we'd love for you to join our community of listeners and spread the word about the show. We also want to hear from you. Share your favorite fashion moments and dream guests with us by sending an audio clip or email to afashionmomentpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can tag us on Instagram at A Fashion Moment, and you could be featured on next week's episode. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and let us know what you think. Until then, see you next time for another fashion moment. Podcast production by Rebecca Rashid and John Taylor Williams. Digital media production by Megan Porras.
This recording carries a Creative Commons 4.0 international license. Thanks to Patrick Patricios for their song, Hot Coffee.